Start recording. And yeah, we're good to go here. I see your mic is muted. That great podcast fodder. What's up?
Not much. I was just my keyboard is too loud, and I don't want it to get the mic.
So got just that gain, bro.
Yeah.
What kind of keyboard do you have?
It's a Logitech G710. I'm thinking about replacing it for.
I have the a Razer Black Widow, and it's pretty nice. I was
considering, it's all nice and shiny, right?
I'm considering switching to Logitech when I need to upgrade. That Crosshair, am I saying that right?
Corsair, yeah.
I know they're good too. I think one of my friends or two of them use them. I don't know. If I would upgrade anything next for my PC, it'd probably be my monitors. They're pretty old. I'd like to get a 60 hertz. It doesn't have to be 4K, but maybe I could get a 4K monitor. I haven't looked into monitors in a while. I don't even know the prices on those things.
I actually really like SteelSeries.
Oh yeah, I heard them too.
All of my headsets have been. I love the two I've had.
Dude, I am shocked that my headset is still living. I literally have a headset that I bought for the PS4 when it came out. I'm pretty sure it's Turtle Beach branded, but yeah. I don't use the microphone because it does have a built-in mic, but it's like terrible. But yeah, these things, I'm surprised they're still living. They're like at least 8 years old at this point, but they work fine. Good audio.
Hey man, you gotta get those Turtle Beaches to hear the Ninja Pro footsteps.
Oh my, yep. Good times, Modern Warfare 2.
That was their tagline too for Turtle Beach, to hear get the tactical advantage on gamers who don't have it. Pay to win.
They knew that was good marketing. They probably sold a lot of them. I'll be curious to see what they do this year with Call of Duty. They were pretty successful with their last Modern Warfare. I wonder if they're going to just do Modern Warfare 2. I think I read something that they might be doing something else. I kind of really fell off Black Ops Cold War. I did like the zombies mode a lot. I think I saw something that they're adding a new map in the future, which I'd be interested in.
Yeah, I watched you and I watched Admiral Bobber play on Twitch. It looked like a fun mode. But again, spending $60 for one zombie map is just not something that's in my
absolutely
want to do.
I 100% agree with you. Yeah, the Call of Duty price range is really shitty, and it rarely goes on sale. It'd be cool if they did. I know they did this for Black Ops 4, where you could get like a cheaper version, and I think it came with just like the Battle Royale mode and the multiplayer, or maybe it just came with the zombies. I forget what they did, but it was weird.
Dude, a bunch of us wanted to get into, at least chill around and play zombies every now and again, and you're thinking about buying Black Ops 1, it's still $40 on Steam. Yeah. That game came out 12 years ago.
Activision and Nintendo, pretty similar marketing strategies. But anyways, we're doing a podcast. Hello there. You guys hear that in your ears? It's me, Game Bro Corey, but this week, Mike, you sound a little bit different. What happened?
I don't know. Let me try out my mic.
Oh, it's working. I heard it.
I think my
guys,
voice
did
changed.
You hear that? Is it working?
We're on a podcast. I am not Mike.
That is not Mike. Who are you?
I am Rumitwa 2, card game extraordinaire who no longer plays card games.
Yeah, you're not the king of cardboard. That's Mike. So I guess you're like the squire or the duchess. I don't know. But yeah, Repertoire 2 will be here this week for the podcast. It's probably going to be a little bit shorter than I usually do, just because it's kind of already running late for me here. Plus, there's not that many news stories, honestly. There are definitely a few big ones that I'm sure we'll have to talk about, but
we can't talk about GameStop for 2 hours.
Just watch me, I will. But before we get into the actual main podcast chunk, I just want to talk about a few things that have been going on in my week that aren't related to video. Well, I mean, everything I kind of do is related to video games because it's my hobby, but anyways, first off, I'm having a big first world problem. I mean, at this point, I'm over it. But yesterday and a few days ago, I was like really into this. I was trying to hunt down a PS5. Talking about another thing that's pretty crazy right now.
Yeah.
And it's rough with all the bots going on right now. It's just incredibly hard to even get one of those things before they're just snatched.
Wait, are they still having the scalper issue?
Yes.
I thought that was like done.
No.
Okay, I thought it was only like a Christmas thing.
No, they're still both that and the Xbox Series X are still incredibly hard to get. They pretty much sell out within like minutes of them going live. I'm sure it's like just a percentage. Like it's slowly ticking up, easier to get to people, but yeah, still scalpers are going after them like crazy. I was in a virtual queue on Sony's website. I think it was on Tuesday, and so the link. I was lucky enough. I don't have any like alerts set on social media or any websites for when they go live. I just look through different Twitters of people who will post the links when they're live at different like retailers like Best Buy or Target, or occasionally like Sony sells them themselves, and you get into this like virtual queue, and it will basically say like, oh, this is when the queue started, like the time. And then it will be like, this is what spot you are, or it won't say what spot you are in line, but it will say how long you have until essentially you can enter the store and buy your console. So on my phone, my queue said over an hour, and I'm like, all right, I'm probably not going to get one, but I'm just going to leave the app running on my phone and do other stuff while I see what happens.
Okay.
And after like, I'm going to say about 10 minutes that the link was live, that's how long I was waiting. The queue updated, and it's like, oh, hey, we're out of consoles, but if you still want to stay and buy accessories or games, you're welcome to. And I'm like, who the hell is going to do that? Like, okay, I'm just out. The console's gone. But yeah, I also got a little, like, upset, too, because I saw an article. Well, I didn't read the article. I read the headline, like most Americans do. And it just said, I think it was like one of the head developers of like AMD graphics cards or something like that. And he said that this console drought will most likely be until midway through 2021. And that kind of upset me because I'm like, oh man, it's just going to be still like super hard to get one of these PS5s. And it kind of got me a little sad, but I was talking to my girlfriend and she called one of her friends and we were all talking, and I'm like, at the end of the day, man, I got a backlog of like 102 games. I have a PS4. I have a Nintendo Switch. I have a pretty modern gaming PC. Do I really need to drop like $500 on a white monolith to play what? A remastered PS3 game? I don't know.
They only have like 10 release games so far, right? For PS5? There's not that many.
Yeah, and literally like 3 of those are exclusive. Or maybe even 2.
And then there's Cyberpunk, and you don't want that one anyway.
Dude, I've actually been playing a lot of Cyberpunk on my PS4, base PS4. I am playing the N64 version of Cyberpunk 2077, and it has been a hoot and holler, man. Whew, that game is hot, not in a good way. Not in a good way. You just stream it at
60p.
Oh man, you know, funny enough, it would be nice, though, to have a PS5 because it would run Cyberpunk slightly better.
Slightly.
But, yeah, regardless, PS5, it's hard to get. I'm going to keep my eye open, but I'm not going to be like, I'm not going to be upset. I'm just kind of going to be like, if I'm in the right place at the right time, maybe I'll, like, consider it. But other than that, like, I'm just like, whatever. I guess I'll just wait until I can actually see one in a store or whatever. Because it's kind of crazy. I'm sorry to cut you off, but they're actually not even sending any to physical stores, I don't think. You can only get them online, which is another reason why the scalper market for the new consoles is so ridiculous.
Yes. I do think that the PS4 and the Xbox One were like... when you think about new consoles, like, and like you said, like, do you really need a new console? There's not much that comes along with, like, there's not much of a difference between the gaming aspect of the PS4 to the PS5, because we've gotten to such a point in game development and technology for that where graphics can only get so much better. Like, if you think about when we were like 15 years ago, you swapped from the N64 to the GameCube, and graphic content just skyrocketed.
Absolutely.
Now it's hard to even see the difference between 4K resolution and 1080p. So I don't think that even needing a newer console is that big of a deal anymore. There's not so much of a hubba, like a reason to get one.
I definitely agree with you. I just think the thing that's in my lizard brain that makes me want it is it's just a new shiny toy. And there are a lot of new games coming out this year that are going to be only on the PS5, which I would like to play. I'm looking at Resident Evil 8 and Deathloop, which is this cool, like, time, like, reversal, first-person shooter. Kind of reminded me a little bit of BioShock, too.
Okay.
But yeah, you're right. Like, this is a weird generation, and I even kind of think it was like this from even PS3 to PS4 and 360 to Xbox One, where you saw, like, they looked a little more crisp and sharp, but really, I agree, like, it is hard to tell the difference, and I even just got a 4K TV last year, like in April, and we've been watching some 4K content, and it does look really sharp, but it is sometimes hard to tell, like, that between, like, a 1080p. But it would be cool to... I would like to experience, like, 4K gaming. I think that would be neat. Like, I heard, like, like, the Demon Souls remake looks really nice.
Yes.
Spider-Man Miles Morales, I heard, looks really nice. I even heard that the controller, the DualSense 5 or whatever it's called for the PS5, is actually really neat. Like, it has a really nice, like, vibrate or rumble feature, which is a weird thing that's a selling point, but I hear people say it's, like, really neat how it, like, it's almost like when the Switch came out, Nintendo was calling their Rumble HD Rumble, which is like, oh, you can feel how many ice cubes are in the drink holding the Joy-Con. Well, people are like, it's like that, but on crack on the PS5 controller. Like, it's very sensitive, and it actually feels really cool. So I'd like to have hands-on for that. Not to mention, I know, of course, like, down the line, like, I'm going to get this PS5, and I'm never going to have to upgrade it. Maybe I'll get another one at some point, too, because I have two PS4s currently. But I just know that I'm going to have a PS5 for, like, it's a console that's going to last, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. I had my PS4 that I got for Christmas when it came out, I still have it downstairs, my base PS4. Like I just mentioned, I was playing Cyberpunk on it. But yeah, I agree with what you're saying.
So I do think that you have a point where, again, between the 360 and the One, or the PS3 to PS4, the game graphical aspect may not have changed, but I think the biggest part between the two is just how the console functions and the UI of the console. And that was what it's a huge step forward compared to, like, gaming graphics. But and even in, like, a UI sense and how everything's set up, I think there's just not so much of a difference between the 4 and the 5, or the 1 and the Xbox Series X. But I agree, for, like, the 360 to the 1, like, again, very similarly, games look the same, you know?
And it's funny you mention a lot of that, because a lot of people were kind of saying, since there's not that many new games on the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, a lot of people have actually been going back to other games from the last gen, like the PS4 and Xbox One, because you can pretty much run, you know, all the games on those consoles, and apparently they all run better because it's using the hardware in these new consoles, and people are saying, like, that's actually one of the coolest features. Which is kind of funny. Like, they're just playing their PS4 games on a PS5, but they just run better, load quicker, look prettier, because now they have solid state drives in them. It took long enough. Is okay? Did you have anything else you want to comment on those consoles, or can I just move on?
You know, I'm a PC gamer. I haven't touched a console since the beginning of the PS4, so I don't think I have much to add.
Oh no, you're fine, man. Don't worry.
Yeah.
No, you're good. Again, like, most of this conversation was, I just have been trying to get a PS5, and it's hell, but I don't really need one at the end of the day.
I do remember
first world problem.
I had a lady who, she was returning an item that she bought her grandchild for Christmas or whatever. This was, like, in November, and she told me that she was gonna try and return this and try to get a PS5, and I just laughed at her. I'm like, ma'am, unless you're spending 20 grand, you ain't getting the PS5 anytime soon. So
Oh, yeah, oh boy, I couldn't imagine being a parent and trying to decipher the Xbox Series X and the PS5. There were a lot of, like, the second the Xbox Series X and S went live, so many people bought the Xbox One because they thought that was the new console. It was like selling out on Amazon. It was hilarious. But yeah. Anyways, moving on. Other things I did over the past week. Last Saturday, I actually went up to Soul Joe's Comedy Club in Royersford, PA, and I saw a comedy show outside. The headline comedian, his name is Bobby Kelly. He was very funny. I really enjoyed it. Funny enough, I ended up going alone, which I didn't mind. But how it kind of works is it's like an outdoor, like, heated tent. And they socially distance you and they check your temperature before you go in. And there's not, like, any set-up seating. You kind of bring your own, like, foldable chair. And then you can also, bring your own, like, booze or food, whatever you want. And because I was alone, the lady was like, where would you like to sit? And I'm like, it doesn't really matter to me. And she's like, oh, I could actually put you right up front at the front of the stage. And I'm like, oh, really? That's great. So I had front row seats for the comedy show, which is hilarious. Luckily, I didn't get targeted. I was very scared about being picked on, but yeah, it was fun. I really like that place. I really want to head there some more. I've been really enjoying live stand-up.
I do think it's kind of weird, and you see this a lot with restaurants as well, regarding these heated tents. I don't see the difference between, and I guess maybe I'm taking a stance regarding COVID and safety, but I don't see a difference between these heated tents and just sitting and socially distancing and being inside and socially distancing. I understand there's like one escape for airflow, but I don't think that's enough to. I don't know. It's got to be the same thing, right?
I mean, I agree with you. It's pretty much the same thing. I think they're basically just towing the line of being able to stay open while technically being outside and socially distancing. But yeah, I didn't really mind it. I didn't really feel uncomfortable. I know, like, taking your temperature technically doesn't mean you don't have the virus. Like, you could have it, it could be in your system and you couldn't have a fever. But I don't know. I just wanted to, I didn't mind taking the risk and going there and watching the show. But I agree with what you're saying. It's weird, man.
COVID really is such a weird thing now, because it used to be, you had a high fever or a cough and those were symptoms, but now anything is a symptom for COVID.
Pretty much,
it's pretty
man.
insane.
You're a little tired, you could have COVID.
Yeah.
I'm always a little tired, so I'm always stressed out. You have a weird itch in your nuts? That could be COVID. You never know. So yeah, that was fun, the comedy show. And last but not least, I did boring work around my home. Or my apartment. I was just cleaning and dusting. And I don't know, something about doing that, like, felt good. Like, actually, I do like cleaning. I feel like it's hard for me to, like, motivate myself sometimes to do it. But, like, once the act is done and I see, like, the nice clean, like, shelves and desks and stuff, I'm like, oh yeah, this is nice. Like, God, I shouldn't be so lazy and actually just clean this, like, once a month or however long. You don't have to dust that often. But because of that, I kind of thought that I want to, like, redecorate my living room space. I kind of want to move, like, right now how we have it, we have kind of a blend of just modern decor and also a little bit of, like, spice of, like, nerdy decor, like little figurines and amiibo all around. But I'm thinking about, like, kind of moving a lot of that stuff away from the living room and putting that more on, like, my collectible shelves and actually, like, decorating it kind of like more of a modern or normal house. I really want to go buy some fake plants. I need a lot of fake plants.
Nice.
I also had a weird realization. I was looking at some fake plants at Target, and I'm like, this is such a weird concept, like putting a fake plant in your house. Like, this is supposed to be a living thing that provides us with, like, oxygen or whatever, and we just put these fake things in our house to, like, make us feel good. It's almost like I taxidermy, but with plants, kinda. I don't know. It's weird.
100%. I will never understand the need. And I mean, I don't understand the need for plants in the first place, but fake plants altogether, it
I
it
like
just
them as
it makes
decoration,
no
but I
sense.
think they're just weird. But with that being said, that was really like my week prior to what I've been watching and playing. Did you have anything interesting you want to point out here? Me and Michael usually talk about like things we did over the week, like that aren't related to like movies or video games, so or shows and video games. So I don't know, just like anything special you did. Not that there's a
What did
lot to
I do
do.
over the week? I worked and grind League of Legends. Not much to it.
Hey, the video game talk comes later.
I couldn't think of anything else. I'm sorry.
I have the guidelines directly in front of you. That's one strike. You get two more, I'm gonna have to kick you out. I'm sorry.
Damn.
Oh man. But with that being said, let's get right into it. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Level With Me podcast, episode 81. I am one of your hosts, Game Bro Corey. Hope y'all are having a great Thursday. We're recording late too. Sorry, guys. And I am joined with my co-host this week, Repertoire 2. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. I'm glad to be on. I haven't been on since I believe like episode 26, so it's a warm welcome back.
I was gonna say, yes, a lot has changed since you were last on. I adopted Mike as my new co-host, and now we play a lot of games together, and we talk about Meatball Pizza and Metroid and Nintendo, and it's great. But yeah, man, it's good to have you on. I missed you. I'm glad you're doing well with your live streams, and hopefully I can invite you on again sometime with Mike. He's been very busy with work. That's why I don't think I ever addressed why he wasn't on here, but he's just busy with his job right now. So, with all that being said, we're going to just move on into our first segment here, where we're going to talk about some video game news going on in the week. And what better way to start off the year of 2021? It's going great. You know, we had this wonderful moment in the Washington, D.C., where these lunatics stormed the Capitol building. There's the stock market ablaze right now. The 99% are taking out the 1%. I don't know what's going on. I'm a fucking idiot. And last but not least, Sophia the Robot creators announced plan to mass produce robots this year. We're going to have humanoid robots walking around first half of 2020 or second half of 2021. I don't know, guys. Robots are here. Dude, this year is getting weird.
Some Five Nights at Freddy's going on.
Oh, man. I've been going down a lot of rabbit holes of animatronics, too, speaking of that. But yes, Sophia the Robot and 3 other models from Hanson Robotics will go into mass production this year and are expected to begin rolling out of factories in the first half of 2021. I wonder, do they have a price for how much these things are going to be? Oh, man. Oh, no, I don't think they do right now. What this is just so odd. Are these... Hang on, I need to read more of this article. This news comes by the way of a new report from Reuters? I don't know how you say that. After a tour through Hanson Robotics' Hong Kong factory conducted by Sophia the Robot, whom you might recognize as the viral robot from years ago that was granted citizenship in Saudi Arabia back in 2017, good to know, Hanson Robotics believes now to be a better time than ever to roll out these robots, as they can help not only the healthcare sectors of the world, but the retail and airline industries as well. Airline? Are you telling me we're going to have robots flying our planes? People even going to be going on planes in 2021? I guess so. She's also a pretty creepy. I don't mean to body shame. What's her name? I already Sophia.
Sophia.
Yeah, she's pretty horrifying. They need to add more skin to her. It's also the epitome of uncanny valley. Like, I'm pretty sure this is the definition of uncanny valley, where you just look at her and like there's some sort of like dread where I'm like, oh God, that's not, no. Get it away from me. Oh my goodness. My links are going crazy. I just want to send you a new link.
I do like the, while it's a weird thing to think of, having robots, I think having them for medical is extremely okay.
Yeah, it makes sense. Robots can't get COVID-19 or any disease for that matter.
With medical being so pinpoint, as long as they're programmed correctly, they could be better than any surgeon could.
Also relevant to me, maybe if Mike is busy with work and you're busy and I can't get anyone else, maybe Sophia or my whatever robot I get could just be my co-host on the podcast and I can talk to the robot about video games. Are you enjoying the podcast?
Sophia, what games you been playing?
I really enjoy Minesweeper and the calculator app.
But no, for real, get that thing out of the retail space. I don't want it.
Yeah. Sophia, I don't have a good transition from here. Okay. So, yeah, little two stories not related to video games here. Sophia, that was for the lols, guys. All right. I need to ask you right now. Have you seen the trailer I just sent you for Godzilla vs. Kong?
I'm currently watching it, but I will say I have not seen the prior Godzilla. I've only seen the very first Godzilla movie. Okay. I haven't seen the two prior. I think there were two of them prior, right?
Well, so they did that. They did the Godzilla movie, then they did King of the Monsters, which came out a few years ago. That's like a sequel to it. And then there was also Kong Skull Island, which I actually haven't seen.
Okay.
But yes, the Godzilla vs. Kong trailer went live this weekend. And I'm a big Godzilla fan, so I immediately was super hyped to see this. And I actually really like the trailer. I think it looks cool. I will say, though, I'm a dedicated Team Godzilla. Get that stupid monkey out of here. He's going to lose. And just because everyone knew he was already going to lose, when you get to the end of the trailer, I'm going to spoil it for you, Thomas, or Rebatois, but they gave Kong an axe just to power him up. He gets an axe. Now it is a cool axe. It's made out of one of Godzilla's like spikes, which is pretty neat. But yeah, like he literally just has a weapon. And I was like, so can Godzilla have like some swords or something? Like what do we do? What are we doing here? There's also a really cool shot in the trailer. I mean, it's probably like a whole battle, but they're in like, I don't know if it's Tokyo or it's like some like neon city with a bunch of like pretty colored neon lights all over the buildings. It's really cool. I was really digging it. It looks good though. I'm excited for this.
Is awesome.
Oh yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah.
I make the joke, but it's neat. And the story seems interesting. Like apparently they go into this more in like Godzilla King of the Monsters about like their lore with Godzilla and the other like kaiju on the earth. And they in the trailer they allude to that there was some sort of war before this of Godzilla and King Kong, which is kind of interesting. Also, it doesn't really make sense if you think about it, because King Kong's actually like smaller in Kong Skull Island, like he's growing, and that's how he gets to like the size of Godzilla. I digress though. It looked hot. I'm excited for it. Now we can actually get into some video game news here. We have a couple exciting stories. First of all, this was a really weird thing to come out of nowhere. Funny enough, kind of link back to what we were talking about earlier with the video game consoles. And one of the things that sucks about them paying for online, which is still really stupid. I don't understand. Like, they don't really need to do that anymore. Like, that just seems like a thing to milk money out of the users. Oh, but we give them free games. Yeah, okay. Microsoft is increasing the price of Xbox Live Gold. Now, this is actually the original story, but they got so much hate from this that they actually retracted all of the changes here. So I'm just going to these aren't going into effect, but let's just see the what if scenario that was going to happen. A brand new post of Xbox Wire has revealed plans to increase the cost of Xbox Live Gold, the online gaming service Microsoft has been using on Xbox platforms for over 18 years. According to Microsoft, this is taking place in order to evaluate the current value and pricing of the services provided. As a result, Live Gold is going to jump up in price. However, if you're an existing Live Gold 6-month or 12-month member, the price will continue to renew at the old price of $19.99 per month or $24.99 for 3 months. Now, the price increase was going to be a 1-month membership will now cost $10.99, 3 months is $29.99, and 6 months $59.99. So originally a year was $59.99, but they were going to make 6 months $59.99, which is they essentially doubled the price of online, which is kind of wild. And again, I don't even think that they were going to add any more features. I know Microsoft has like their Xbox Game or just Game Pass, that's what it's called, which is a really good service, but I don't think, hang on, let me read this article. The blog post also points out notable trick for Xbox users. You can convert your existing Live Gold membership into Game Pass Ultimate. Okay, yeah, no. So I think you do get some free games, but yeah, that didn't include Xbox Game Pass, which is a huge deal. But again, something interesting to look at, but they got like so much hate for this, rightfully so. Like this was just out of nowhere that Microsoft literally just went, okay, we're just not going to do this, guys. But, you know, just still kind of a crazy thing. Like that is like a ridiculous pricing for just online play.
I have never understood the and I mean, like I said, I've been a PC user for now many years. I used to play Xbox and I used to have Xbox Live, but as I get older, I never actually understood. And you know, I'm on Steam a lot more, and you know, there's no paying for internet there. Why pay for an internet service provider and then pay Xbox to use your internet service provider?
Exactly. I don't get it.
Yeah,
either.
they're already charging us $60 per game per new game. I think it's pretty insane.
My internet bill just went up. Also, not to mention games. The prices of like games have went up. Like they're $70 now on Xbox and PS5.
That's crazy.
Yeah, dude, it is. Oh man. Hey, it's a good thing we bought all those GameStop shares, right? To afford our new consoles and online and the video games. Yeah.
If only.
We mentioned it earlier, but yes, GameStop shares and the stock market, that's all a thing going on. I have the story here. GameStop investors share why they went big on the Jimmy stock squeeze. I don't even know if I have to read this. Like GameStop really had nothing to, GameStop had nothing to do with this. Like this was mostly the Reddit crap. What was it called? Like r/Wall Street, or I forget. But
Wall Street bets.
Yeah, this was like an organized thing. And again, I'm kind of not like too familiar with this. I was trying to read about it because I barely know anything really about the stock markets to begin with. But from what I understand, essentially people like organized this buyout of all the GameStop shares, and because everyone was buying them, the stock skyrocketed, which means the like actual like investors who had a lot of money in the stocks like had to buy back the stocks from these regular people for more money. So essentially like a lot of people were like in some cases like tripling or quadrupling their money. I believe that's how it works. Did you hear anything about this, Rebatois?
So I've actually been looking into it the past day and a half.
Okay, cool.
And so basically, GameStop stocks were extremely low. I believe they were as low as like $4 a share.
Yeah.
And there are these hedge fund brokers who basically wager a ton of money in order, basically betting that GameStop stocks are going to fall. And because the company obviously is dying,
that's correct.
Buying games not digitally is, you know, a thing in the past, even though I still like, if I had a console, I would still like to buy the physical copy. And I presume GameStop's not going to be a store in like 5 years. But basically, again, Wall Street Bets had organized, buy GameStop stocks, and so basically, since it's skyrocketing, these hedge fund brokers now have to, what you said, they basically have to buy back the stock at such a high price.
Okay.
And did you hear the thing that happened earlier today about how apps such as Robinhood and other apps that deal with stock trading are forbidding people from buying basically every Wall Street bet stock, GameStop, AMC, Nokia, BlackBerry stocks. They are forbidding the buying of a position in that stock, but you can still sell. So they're basically manipulating the market and kind of forcing people to sell. And now GameStop stocks are declining.
Yeah, and I did hear about that, and I think that's a really shitty thing to do.
Yes, that's basically illegal. Market, yeah, but since these guys have billions of dollars, we live in a society type of thing.
They have billions of dollars, so it is legal.
Yeah.
And that's why everyone should invest into Dogecoin.
I keep looking at it. It's now up to 4 cents.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's
500%. Wouldn't that be
500%.
wild if, like, in a year from now, it's worth, like, $100 or $1,000 or something like that? That'd be crazy.
I think it'll be a 24-hour thing. I don't think it will
okay, fair enough.
Go much farther than this.
True. It'll be 1 week, and then it'll go back to, like, 3 cents. Or But, yeah, that's wild. And this is still, like, an ongoing story. I don't know how much we'll cover it. I just think it was funny that, like, a lot of this has been about GameStop, and there have been a lot of, like, stories in the news about, of course, the GameStop shares and what's going on, and it's kind of very fascinating. And like I said, I don't really know a lot about it, so it's even stuff that I kind of want to, like, look more into and figure out what's going on. I don't know if it's necessarily already, like, done with, but I'm going to keep an eye on it, and, if anything else happens, we'll report on it. Wild that it's GameStop.
The only thing I can say is if you have GameStock, let's just go with I like GameStock.
Yeah, that works.
If you have GameStocks, hold until Friday, apparently.
Yeah, I know it said, like, limited buying or something on Friday. Yeah. I don't know what that means, but yeah. Yeah, just hold on them for now.
Yeah, don't cash out. Make these billionaires suffer, and then uninstall Robinhood and give it a 1 star. That's what I'm saying.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of big corporations with lots of money, Konami hasn't shut down any of its gaming divisions. So, originally, Konami has announced an internal restructure in which 3 production divisions will be dissolved, but has denied that it is shutting down its gaming production after fans and media began speculating about the move. The story began in an announcement to investors of, among other things, organizational restructuring. A post on the Konami Digital Entertainment website explained that it will dissolve production divisions 1, 2, and 3 to respond to the rapid market that surrounds us. With production divisions previously representing the company's home of game development, some took this to mean that gaming production at the company was being shuttered as a whole. However, in a statement to IGN, a Konami representative wrote, "The announcement made refers to an internal restructure with production divisions being consolidated. Wow. We have not shut down our video games division." And there's also an update to this story. Let me briefly read this. Konami has provided more clarity on the future of its gaming division after announcing that it will dissolve its production divisions. Per a company spokesperson, the move has been made to allow for games to be developed more nimbly. Speaking to IGN, Konami explained the difference between the soon-to-be dissolved divisions and the company's remaining productions departments. The divisions supervise the production departments, which develop the games. With the supervisory aspect now removed, the hope is seemingly that the company will be able to make games more efficiently. The production departments will report directly to upper management, allowing them to respond quickly to the market, explains the spokesperson. I mean, realistically, Konami doesn't actually make video games that much at all. I'm pretty sure they just make cardboard and pachinko machines. That's about it, and they're doing pretty well on that. Of course, we have to bring up the cardboard because it is, Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yes.
That's their, thing. I just thought this was interesting, and a lot of people were speculating that, maybe now they're going to sell off their gaming IPs that they own, like Castlevania, Bomberman, Metal Gear, but I guess they still are going to make games or just hold on to those IPs for now. I don't know. Interesting stuff.
It would be nice to get like a nostalgic bring back of these older Konami.
I agree.
And have new editions of these games. Will they do it? Probably not, but
yeah. I want to say I feel like they did release something recently. I can't remember what. I know they did like little collections of pretty much ROMs of their old school like Contra and Castlevania games, like ones on the NES and stuff like that, which was pretty neat, but they didn't really do a lot of work in those. It's pretty much like buying, like a collection of ROMs essentially. Moving on here. There was a big like Resident Evil 8 Village showcase, kind of like a little direct, just announcing the release date. They announced some other projects in here. They showed a little bit of gameplay, and I think they released like a demo on the PS5 or something like that, which is pretty cool. That game looks great. I'm very excited for Resident Evil 8. Pretty much a direct follow-up to Resident Evil 7, so it's got the first-person aspect. I don't think this one's in VR, unfortunately. It will be coming to, I actually didn't know this, the PS5, Xbox Series X, PC, PS4, and Xbox One on May 7th, 2021. There you go, another game that I can still play on my PS4. Granted, I don't know how it will look. Probably better than Cyberpunk 2077. They're also showcased, I don't know about you guys, but my Twitter has been blown up with, what's her name here? The Maiden, or the Madam. It's basically like this 9-foot tall vampire lady, and everyone wants her to do things to them, inappropriate things. You can check my Twitter feed if you need to know more information. And she also has like a group of like these vampire goth women with her who have like all the Hot Topic and Harley Quinn like what's the word I'm looking for? Like smeared makeup, or like they were crying a lot and it's like dripping. It's cool. I like the aesthetic of it. And I like the look of the village itself. It's like set in this like snowy, like mountaintop town, and you can like explore. I think it's probably going to have some sort of like minor open world elements. And apparently you can like find like just modern video game stuff. Like you can find like different things. There's like a shopkeeper. Apparently the inventory system is a lot like Resident Evil 4, which is cool. Like there's a little like mini game to like organizing your inventory. It looks great. I'm very excited for this. Also, this thing looked kind of weird, but additionally announced with Resident Evil 8, they're adding a versus mode to Resident Evil called Resident Evil Reverse. And this thing does not look that great to me. Basically what it is, I think it's a 8-player, like 4v4 versus mode, or maybe it's just a 6-player free-for-all. But you're essentially playing as the different Resident Evil heroes and villains throughout the eras. And you will play in these different areas as well from previous Resident Evil games. Like one of the levels here is the police department from Resident Evil 2, and I want to say there might have been another. Oh no, I think it was just all the police department, but they'll probably have other locations, obviously. But it has characters like Leon Kennedy, Jill Valentine, Claire Redfield. I don't think Chris is in any of these. They have Nemesis. They have, oh god, what's his name? It's the is it in the article here? It's the old dude from Resident Evil 7. He has the chainsaw. What's his name? I think it's something Baker. It was like the Baker family. And it's got like this weird like cell shaded like art style. I don't know though. It's such like it looked like such a like half-baked idea, almost like a mod that someone made. It doesn't look great to me. Resident Evil is not about the multiplayer modes. I don't know if that's your thing, but I thought it looked kind of meh.
Yeah, I've only ever seen. I never played any of the Resident Evil games. I've only seen. There was a new. They recreated Resident Evil 2, right?
Yes, they did.
Like a year or two ago. I watched people play that one. And it looked like a fun game, but definitely not the game.
Oh yeah, I played a decent amount of Resident Evil 2. It's pretty fun. Other than that, they also announced a Resident Evil and Division 2 crossover. That's kind of weird. I don't know anyone who's still playing Division 2. And then last but not least, there was a Resident Evil Netflix movie tease. Apparently that will be coming out sometime in 2021. If that's your thing, there you go. It is not live action. It's one of the CG ones. But I hear those are usually pretty good. A short little Resident Evil style stream. Mainly about Resident Evil Village, the release date, and some more gameplay in the demo. I don't really know much about the demo. I don't know how that's been received, but overall it looked pretty cool. Next up here, and I got something right for you, Mr. PC Gaming. Gabe Newell says Valve has more games in development waiting to be announced. In an interview with New Zealand's One News, Valve boss Gabe Newell has said that multiple games are in development at the studio and are waiting to be announced. The Valve co-founder has been staying in New Zealand during the COVID-19 pandemic after taking a vacation there following the launch of Half-Life Alyx. We definitely have games in development that we're going to be announcing. It's fun to ship games, Newell said when asked about future games coming out of Valve. Valve has developed and subsequently canceled a lot of games in the past, including several versions of Half-Life 3. The fact that Newell specifically says these new games will be announced suggests a shift from the company's recent history of being reticent to release new software. I mean, I'm still a huge fan of Valve games, the ones that I played back in the day, like Portal, Portal 2, Half-Life, Half-Life 2, Team Fortress 2, like that mid-2000s era of Valve. I never really got into Dota. Half-Life Alyx looks cool, but I don't have any sort of VR rig to play it. I'm hopefully oh my god, I forgot about Left 4 Dead. Left 4 Dead was great too.
Yes, Left 4 Dead.
But yeah, I am hopefully optimistic to see whatever new products Valve is going to make. I think they're also working on, I forgot about their Dota card game, Artifact. That came out like a year or two ago and then got pulled because apparently it was really broken.
Let's not talk about Artifact.
Okay. Fair enough.
That game will never be revived. They actually, I got invited to the beta. A lot of people who originally bought into Artifact got invited into the beta for Artifact 2. I never played it, but over on the Artifact subreddit, basically, it has the same issues. They're just not putting in the manpower to see what the core issues of the game are. And I think that'll be their downfall.
That's a real shame because I know, didn't they get like one of the creators of Magic the Gathering to help work on that?
They got a big higher up of Wizards of the Coast, which is Magic the Gathering. It is really a big shame for that game. But regarding the news article, I'm extremely excited for new Valve software and new Valve games. They're always really good.
And honestly, it doesn't even have to be the franchises I mentioned. I'd be cool to see Valve make new IP. Valve also bought the studio who made Firewatch. I don't remember the name of that company, but they could also be releasing... there was a game that studio announced called like Into the Valley of the Gods or something like that got pretty much like canceled, but I don't think it's indefinitely canceled. I think it just got like maybe on hold. So that could be another game that could potentially come out, which I thought it looked cool and people were excited for that. Hopefully they release stuff that's not just VR, but it could be, they did make a headset. They probably want to sell that.
Yeah.
Next up, this was cool. This just kind of like came out of nowhere, and I was like, oh, platforming modern classic Celeste gets a surprise semi-sequel?
Ooh.
The developers of 2018 Celeste have released a surprise semi-sequel to mark the game's third anniversary. Celeste director Maddie Thorson posted the news to Twitter, revealing that Celeste 2 Lonnie's Trek, or Celeste Classic 2, is a sequel to the original prototype of the game built in Pico 8. Pico 8 is a fantasy video game console game engine that allows for its games to be played within a browser. This means you can play Celeste Classic 2 right now if you follow the link to the game's itch.io page, or you can go to Maddie Thorson's Twitter or probably their website and go play it. I think this is super neat. I actually might check this out over the weekend or whenever I have free time because, hey, Celeste, hell of a game.
I may check it out within the next hour, you know what I mean? But no, yeah, I'm extremely excited to look into it because Celeste, honestly, I mean, I don't play too many new games anymore, but Celeste was probably one of the best games I've played over the past 3 or 4 years, even though, like you said, third anniversary. Just such a great platformer, has some of the best music for it kind of is like an 8-bit style soundtrack. It's pretty good.
Oh, that soundtrack's so good.
Yes.
I really want to go back and just listen to it. Oh, man. Yeah, that game's great. I feel like when I initially played that game, I knew about like the hype, and I feel like it was a little overhyped, but now that I've like taken it in and it's been like I feel like almost a year since I played that game, like I do really appreciate it now. Like that was a very fun game. And I didn't even really get to a lot of the like the optional area in the mountain or like the reverse levels or whatever, all the different alternate levels. I only did like the core or base playthrough of Celeste.
Oh yes, I remember that because I was trying to get you into the
That's right.
the more difficult levels.
Yeah.
Definitely worth it.
All right, and as is tradition with the Level With Me podcast, we love to save all the Nintendo news for the end because we're big Nintendo fanboys. First of all here, kind of sad news, I guess. The man who created Captain Falcon, Fox McCloud, Majora's Mask, and more has retired from Nintendo. Takuya Imamaru, I hope I said that right, the Nintendo artist and designer who gave us characters like Captain Falcon and Fox McCloud and more, not to mention the name and visual identity of The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, has retired from the company. As reported by Kotaku, Imamura announced that it was his last day working at Nintendo on his Facebook page after 32 years with the company. This is my last day going to work. I took a selfie with my empty office. I guess I won't be coming in here anymore. As you'd expect, I'll miss it. Kotaku's translation of his commemorative Facebook post reads, I mean, is it a surprise that this man is leaving? Have we seen Captain Falcon and Fox McCloud in any game besides Super Smash Brothers recently? Oh, cries. Oh, man, I miss FZero so much. That one on the GameCube was so fun. I love that GameCube one.
It's actually very ironic, dude. I was just researching maybe 2 days ago, looking for, does Nintendo have any news for a new FZero or Star Fox game? Because I was just listening to the FZero GX soundtrack like 2 days ago on stream. It is probably, aside from Melee, my favorite game. And maybe I only like Melee because of the competitive aspect of it. So maybe it is my favorite game. But there needs to be another one.
Yeah, I don't understand why they literally haven't made a new F-Zero since that GameCube one, and I don't know why. Like, I don't know if they just maybe don't think that game has a lot of, like, value because maybe it just didn't have enough modes. I just don't know. I'm just shocked that they've never gone back to this, considering how many people love the characters, especially Captain Falcon.
Yes.
Not to mention the music. Like, yeah, it's just a head scratcher.
Well, didn't they like incorporate a lot of F-Zero into the new Mario Kart? Like now you can play as Captain Falcon, you can ride the Blue Falcon. There is like anti-gravity.
Well, technically, Captain Falcon isn't in the game as a character. You can have like the Mii costume of Captain Falcon, and you can ride the Blue Falcon, like his whatever you call it, space cart or whatever.
Yeah.
And there even is, I think there might be 2 tracks that are literally just F-Zero tracks in Mario Kart 8, which is really cool.
Wow.
But, yeah, I mean, I guess that's the closest thing.
Nothing beats the super fast car. Is that that game is something to remember, and I hope that there's a new one coming out
Yeah.
within the next 5 years. I'll take it. I'll take 5 years.
And I know that Star Fox Zero, which was released on the Wii U, was not a good success. From what I understand, that was a very bad game. But I hope that didn't kill the Star Fox franchise, because that's another one that I would just like to see continue. I enjoy those characters.
Was Star Fox Zero basically the recreation of Star Fox Zero on the Wii U?
Yes, but apparently like the gyro controls with the Wii U gamepad was just horrible. Like it just didn't work very well. And it just really ruined the game. Like, honestly, if that game probably just had an optional, pro controller use, it would have been better. I think. I know it looked really nice because it was made by Platinum. I digress, though. Last but not least, this one, really, somewhere Mike is, shrieking because he's a big Metroid fan. LEGO Ideas Metroid set reveals huge Ridley add-on in fan-created project. A fan-created LEGO set featuring characters from the Metroid franchise received another milestone update today as Ridley has now been added to the project. It features fully articulated arms, legs, a tail, and head, and can even grab minifigures in its hands. Ridley has been one of the bounty hunters, Samus Aran's longtime arch-nemesis throughout the series, dating back to the original NES/Famicom title, appearing in many subsequent games, and even becoming a playable character in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate after being one of the most requested characters for years. But this LEGO creation might be one of Ridley's coolest iterations yet. And like the article says, yeah, it's like a very nice, big, purple space dragon with the articulated arms, and he can grab stuff and open his mouth. And even in this, article that I'm looking at, Samus is there, and she has her full ship, and there's different variations for her armors, and there's the different I think they're called Zebus or whatever those space pirate enemies are. Where's Mike when you need him? I don't know anything about Metroid, but this is cool.
It is a very cool LEGO set. I like it. I'm not a Metroid.
I don't think these things are official. These are almost just concepts, or hey, maybe if they get enough crowdfunding, they'll make them. But I just thought it was cool. I just kind of wanted to point it out.
Have you played any Metroids? The only one I played was the one on the Wii.
I did play the one on the Wii a little bit. Metroid Prime 3. I think that was the last Metroid game I played, too. That was the only one I ever played. Mike, of course, wants me to play more. And if one day Metroid Prime 4 ever comes out on the Switch, I will definitely give it a try. Who knows when that'll come out. But with that being said, that's going to do it for our week of news. And now we're going to move on to our second segment, where we're going to talk about what we've been watching and playing over the week. Rebattoir 2, would you like to go first?
I will gladly go first because, as always, my list of watching, playing, and other news isn't as extensive as yours. But maybe it's a bit more extensive than it normally is for me. So I guess I'll go with watching first. I have obviously been watching the new Attack on Titan season.
Oh, please don't spoil.
I won't. I would never do that. It's one of my favorite animes I've ever seen. I think MAPPA has done a huge accomplishment in basically picking up where the old animation studio left off, and we are looking to have just this great another 12 or 14 more episodes of the season. So I'm extremely excited about that. I should be, I have so many anime. For some reason, I guess I'm not into anime as much right now, but I have so many animes came out in the past 6 months, as well as this new season of anime, like the How I Got Reincarnated as a Slime, The Promised Neverland. There were a couple other animes that were suggested to me that I wanted to watch, but I just don't get around to doing so. And of course, I just finished the new Haikyu, which is probably my new favorite anime of all time.
Oh man, my one coworker, he's so into that. He keeps telling me about how good it is.
Yes, I agree. As for what I am, so I did want to, I guess other things I've been watching. When you linked because I wanted to talk about it when you linked to the VOD of Godzilla movie.
Sure.
How many movies have you really watched since COVID? Because I have not seen a reason why something like that's so unfamiliar to me now is I haven't gone to see any movies. I don't pay attention to new trailers. For some reason, similar to that with sports, even though I was never a really big sports fan, going to see new movies or even thinking about new movies just doesn't interest me post-COVID.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. I actually think one of the things I miss the most about like the pandemic is going to movie theaters. Not that I necessarily saw a lot of movies in movie theaters, but I did just enjoy the experience of going in the theater with your popcorn and your drink, and I don't know, just kind of being like dedicated to watching the movie. Like you're not really distracted.
Yeah.
But to answer your question mainly, I feel like I've watched a decent amount of movies, not necessarily new stuff, but one of my buddies, he gave us access to a Plex server where he has probably like 1,500 movies on there, and he frequently updates it. So I know he added the new like Wonder Woman 84, which I kind of want to check that out because I did like the last Wonder Woman movie. I've been watching. What about the Disney Plus stuff? Like Soul was really good. I liked Onward. That was pretty good. Like
Again,
Pixar
for some reason,
movies.
not something I'm into.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, like I want to pick up The Mandalorian, but I never got into that. But yeah, it's just post COVID. I never feel the need to check that out. I don't know why. I just think that way.
Well, I'm gonna say just roll with it now. You know, maybe one day you'll want to venture into that. I mean, there's also a ton of like great anime movies. Some on my list too that I still need to watch.
As for what I've been playing, dude, you wouldn't believe it. I play so many new games now. I picked up League of Legends.
Oh yeah, I heard that's a good new game. Yeah.
And the Conquer Online.
Oh, I heard about that.
That's about it.
Yeah,
we own 13 years strong on both of those games.
You're a dedicated man, and
dedicated
I admire
man.
that. I'm like literally the opposite way. Like I play like 10 minutes of like 16 games, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm never gonna finish any of these.
I will say I did recently get back into Hearthstone. They added a battlegrounds, kind of like an auto chess. How Valve came out with Dota 2 Underlords and League of Legends Teamfight Tactics. Hearthstone came out with their own card-based auto chess or auto battler.
That's pretty.
As well as I got back into the Dota 2 modded auto chess. So those are two new ones that I have on my resume.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Is there like anything you want to point out specifically with any of those games, like League or Conquer, or is it just kind of like same old? Like I know you're kind of. I was looking at some of your titles of your streams, and you're kind of just like grinding your accounts to kind of like rank them up.
It's the new season of League.
Okay.
For season 11, so just trying to climb back to the top 1%.
Okay.
And it's a struggle.
I bet. Solo queuing, or do you have a full party?
It's solo.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's all for me. Nothing really changes. What have you been watching, playing, and doing?
Oh, why, thank you. I'm glad you asked. I have quite a mouthful of things we can talk about here. First of all, let's talk about some anime. You know, you mentioned a few up front. I just recently finished JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 5. I am completely caught up on the anime. God, I love that anime so much. That is the whole series itself. It's just warmed into my heart. I love the over-the-top, like, characters and designs. The color and art direction is so good. The openings and the outros are so great. Oh my god, I'm just sipping the Kool-Aid so hard. I'm so in love with JoJo. So much so that I'm almost tempted to start reading the manga, because I know the manga is like 2 or 3 seasons ahead of the anime, and I'm kind of curious. But yeah, man, it's super great. And because I finished up JoJo, I was like, I'm gonna need I like to watch just one anime at a time. I don't like to spread myself a little too thin. If any, I could maybe do 2. So usually I'll dedicate myself to just one, complete, move on. So after JoJo, I kind of had a few that I wanted to start watching. I have my backlog of anime as well. And I decided to start diving into one of my old favorites, Fooly Cooly. Now, a few years ago, they actually released a second season called Fooly Cooly Progressive. And then they also released Fooly Cooly Alternative, which is what I'm watching now. And right now, I can't tell if it's like a prequel or a sequel or even maybe just like an alternate universe type thing. But it's really great, man. Like, it still has a lot of those nice like Fooly Cooly vibes of the interesting art styles. It something that I really enjoy about Fooly Cooly is it's kind of like almost got like the same premise in all the different shows where there's like one big like evil corporation building in the town, and then the rest of the town is like a small like little Japanese town. And of course, you know, Haruko is there with her guitar and she's fighting robots, and they're pulling all sorts of things out of the main character's head. It gets really kooky and wacky. Something I think is kind of cool about Alternative is it's got like a gang of like these like 4 like teenage girls, which I think is kind of neat because the other ones have mainly focused on like teenage boys. It's kind of interesting seeing the turn on that. But I've been really digging it, man. Not to mention the music in Fooly Cooly, the pillows, my God, bangers. But besides that,
never watched.
Oh, go ahead.
I've never even heard of until now.
FLCL, Fooly Cooly.
Oh, okay. No, I've heard of
It's
FLCL.
the same thing. They're the same thing.
I just didn't know it was called that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Either or. But yeah, honestly, FLCL, the original, probably my favorite anime of all time. I love that. Anyways, they're super short. I'll definitely finish that by the next podcast. They're like 6 episodes each. So yeah, it's almost just like watching a whole movie. Other than that, I've also started watching Disenchantment. So Mike started watching this a week or two ago, and I always told him I wanted to get into the show as well. So I was like, why not? I'll watch it as well.
That's that Netflix comedy, right?
Yeah, it's made by the art team who did like The Simpsons and Futurama.
Yes.
So it's got that art style. And I want to say I'm like 6 episodes into it, and it's actually pretty funny. I've been digging it. It's definitely got that vibe of that, like, you know, Futurama, Simpsons type humor. And I haven't really watched a lot of, I guess you'd call these like animated adult shows in a while. And kind of like going back to one is almost like nostalgic, because I used to watch like a lot of like Family Guy, Futurama, South Park in my youth. So like watching this show, like it's kind of just naturally falling into place. And I'm like, yeah, this is pretty funny. I'm digging it. Another interesting thing about this show compared to like The Simpsons or Futurama is there's actually like kind of a loose plot to the episodes, and they all kind of like go in sequential order. So some animated cartoon or animated shows, each episode is almost like individual. So like, for example, maybe in an episode of Family Guy, like Peter dies, but then the next episode he's fine. In like Disenchantment, if like a character dies, they're like, you know, just dead, and they'll probably address it in a future episode. But basically, like everything that happens is canon, like that just happened, you know.
Yes.
Which is kind of interesting for an animated show. But I'm digging it. I like the cast of Princess Bean, Elfo, and Lucille. And Lucille is actually voiced by the dude who did Bender in Futurama. I forget the name of the voice actor. And for some reason, I was so dumb, I just expected Lucille to sound exactly like Bender. But of course, he's doing like an alternate voice for him. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's that guy, but just doing, you know, a different role. And I'm like, okay, well, he's still doing a good job. I was just stupid. Last but not least, I did watch one movie. So my girlfriend is actually doing online courses, and she's going for a film major. So she's going to be watching a lot of movies in the future. And I actually just sat down while she was watching one of her movies for her classes, which was Pan's Labyrinth. This was, I believe, directed by Guillermo del Toro, or else he did like some of the prosthetics and practical effects in the movie. But it's really interesting. It follows like this like militia of these like, I don't know what country it's supposed to take place in. It might be like Spain or somewhere in South America. Another thing about this movie I didn't know is it's all like in Spanish, so it's basically like watching a subbed movie, which it was fine. I didn't mind that, but it like follows this like militia with this family. There's like this little girl and her mom who's pregnant and like her aunt or whatever. And like the dad is like the militia leader, and he's kind of just like this like piece of shit, like doing all sorts of like dirty, scummy stuff. And I guess he like I don't know what year it took place in. I can't really think of, but maybe they flew or something, because I know one of the doctors was like, "Oh, you shouldn't have had your wife travel while she's pregnant. It could affect the baby." But he didn't really care. And like kind of the crux of the whole story is this little girl like finds this like fairy in the woods, which like leads her to the actual like labyrinth, where she like finds this really cool looking like demon goat / deer guy who's pretty terrifying, but he's actually like a good character. And he kind of lets her know that like, hey, you are like a princess in this other world, and you need to get back to the other world. Like she almost was like reincarnated to like Earth, and they need her to get back to this other world. And
Okay.
The rest of the movie is essentially like her trying to get back to this other world because she is a princess. But you don't know if like because this character is a little like creepy looking, you almost feel like you don't know if he's even telling the truth. Like maybe he is doing something deceitful. Like maybe it's true, maybe it isn't. And then you also have like I was mentioning earlier, the stuff with the militia and the dad. Eventually the wife does give birth, and that becomes like an element in the story. It was actually a pretty good movie. I didn't really expect a lot out of it, and I didn't expect it to end how it did, but it was pretty good. I liked it. But with that being said, that is all the stuff I watched this week in terms of what I've been playing. So me and Mike actually just finished our Let's Play of Luigi's Mansion 3 for Level With Me channel. So we are going to naturally move on to a new game, and we decided to play No More Heroes, the recent remaster on the Switch. Well, I think you can get it on like, I don't know if it's just on Switch. Maybe it's on PC too, but they put No More Heroes 1 and 2 on the Switch. And I played through No More Heroes, I want to say like twice already on the Wii. One of my favorite games of all time. I just love everything about that game. The combat, the style, the music, the world. It was pretty cool and pretty revolutionary. But we've been getting into that. I played, I want to say about like 2 hours of it. We fought the first 2 bosses of it. And that's been a lot of fun. Like I just really love that game, and it's been good to get back to it. Also interesting looking at it, because that game came out, I believe, in like 2007 or 8, so it's pretty old. And kind of like comparing it to other games now, honestly, the open world in No More Heroes is comparable to the open world of Cyberpunk 2077. It's pretty funny. But yeah, I've been really enjoying that, and you guys can look forward to seeing that soon on the channel in the next coming weeks. Maybe have the first part of that episode up on the weekend. Who knows? But Cyberpunk 2077, yes, I am still playing that. I'm honestly, I'm starting to get a bit bored of the gameplay. The more that I put time into it and actually got to, I feel like I've been doing way too much of the side content. And honestly, like the shooting in that game, I thought it was like good, but like the more I play of it, I'm like, man, this really doesn't even like play that well. And it's really hindering me wanting to continue the game. But because I don't want to, I would like to see the end of the main story, because I'm actually enjoying that aspect of Cyberpunk. I feel like that's probably what I'm going to end up doing. I'm going to try to just like mainline it through the story and, just see what happens there. But I really haven't been like, it's slowly just declining on me, like the quality of the game. And I do think a lot of the reasons I'm not enjoying it too much is definitely the performance issues it has on the PS4 base. But yeah, that game is just very underbaked. They definitely needed another like year of development in that thing. It's going to be a completely different game by the end of this year. Next up, I've been dabbling a little bit more in Smash Ultimate, but I don't know. I'm also like a little indifferent about this game. I've been considering trying to do online tournaments because that is a thing, but Ultimate's online is just so bad, guys. it's so inconsistent on whether it's going to be like, oh, this is acceptable, or oh, this is other dog shit. So it's like, I don't know, man. Like, I'm just so like torn about it, because I really don't want to like give up on Smash. It's honestly one of my favorite like competitive games, and one of the games I think I'm just very naturally good at. But it's just very hard to just compete online. So I don't know what I'm going to do with that. I might just play the online mode every once in a while, or whenever a new character comes out, and just wait until maybe one day when we can have actual tournaments again. That'd be nice. Although who knows when that'll be. Also, this is a weird one. I started playing Overwatch again on the PS4. Our good buddy Abra, which you may know as Branford, he actually started playing Overwatch on the PS4. And I was like, oh, yo, I got Overwatch on the PS4. Maybe we could play together. Unfortunately, we haven't played together yet. But I was just like, I'll mess around. Because I used to play a lot of Overwatch when it came out on the PC. And I did get pretty good at the game. So I was just like, I'll just mess around on the PS4. You know, obviously the aiming's a little bit easier with auto aim. And since I'm starting literally a fresh account, I'm almost just like making a Smurf on PS4 for Overwatch. So I've been doing pretty well in that, and I've been having a lot of fun with that. Megan was really into Overwatch back in the day too, so she's kind of been just like playing on my account as well. Like, we'll couch co-op. Like, she'll play a match, then I'll play a match. Something I didn't really get to experience with Overwatch is like a year or two ago they added like role queue, which you can actually just wait for whatever class you want to play, you know, the tanks or the healers or the support or the DPS. And we've just been rocking the we'll do like any role, and it's mostly been a lot of tanks and healer. We don't think we're ever going to get DPS, because obviously that's the most popular of the three. But hey, I've been enjoying playing a lot of Reinhardt. I should play more Zarya. Zarya's a lot of fun. Healing I love. I am a beast with Lucio. Moira and Anna are also a lot of fun. But that's been going great. Not to mention I'm also earning some trophies on PS4, so that's nice. And then last but not least, I also started playing more Apex Legends again. I've been kind of just in this overall like lull of games. I kind of don't really know what I want to get into. I feel like Apex Legends might be the thing I do want to get back into. There's also a new season of content coming out in like a week, which definitely helps. But man, it's been a lot of fun getting back into that game. It's probably my favorite battle royale I've played. I just like the flow of it. If I'd have to have any sort of complaint about that game, I just really don't like that you have to always go with the 3-mans, because that naturally means you're going to have 2 random teammates, and, you know, you don't know the quality of their skill or how they're going to perform, which can be bad. It'd be nice if there was a solos mode, but that would also be tricky considering, you know, that there's basically like hero characters in that game. But yeah, with that being said, I'm just trying to not spend money on the nice, pretty skins, because I don't need them. It's just a skin. But yeah, man, I've been really enjoying playing that again, and like seeing the new heroes that they added, as well as like some of the new weapons. I was playing on the new map that they added like a season or two ago, which was slightly smaller. I forget the name of it, but it's pretty fun. I've been doing like relatively well getting back into it, but I don't know how their like skill-based matchmaking works or whatever. But I'm just playing in like the quick play mode, and I feel like I'm starting now to get like matched against like better players. So now I have to actually like practice a little bit more. I had a good peak where I was like pretty decent at Apex, but now I'm definitely not that great anymore. Honestly, I think Apex is the first-person shooter on PC I played in a decent amount, so I need to relearn that. But it's honestly not too bad. Like a few weeks or so, I'll get back in the swing of things. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. And with that being said, that is going to wrap up my week. We're now going to move on to the user questions. So if you guys want to send in a question, you have 2 ways of doing that. You can either go to levelwithmepodcast@gmail.com and write them there, or you can go to the Level With Me Podcast Instagram account, and usually the day before or the day of the podcast, which we normally record on a Tuesday, we'll put up a link on there, and you can send us a question, or you can just DM us a question on Instagram, and we'll give you a shout out if you give us a question. And the questions can be about anything. It can be about food, collectibles, video games, movies. I don't know, man. Anything you want. just hit us up. And Mike actually did send me the questions. Let me pull them up here. I believe we had one or two. Let me get to them here. Oh, here we go. We have one right here. This is from the Retrograde Podcast. And his question is, with all the buzz around King Kong versus Godzilla, I feel like no one is asking the real hard-hitting questions. Who would win in a fight, Mothra or Butterfree? What do you think?
Butterfree.
What? Why?
It'll make Mothra so sad when it leaves that it'll be forced to admit defeat.
Okay, but are we not going to point out the obvious here that Mothra is like the size of like a football stadium and Butterfree is like what, the size of like your torso?
But the feels, dude.
I mean, there are some moments where Mothra dies and it's pretty sad because Mothra's a pretty butterfly creature. And also, yeah, Mothra. I mean, Mothra's taking it by practicality.
Yeah, probably.
It's Mothra all the way.
Sleeping powder, though.
I'm pretty sure Mothra also had a sleeping powder in one of the Godzillas. I know my Godzilla facts. Challenge me. And then we have another question here. Thank you, the Retrograde Podcast, for the question. That's fun. We have one from Day Back In. And his question is, what is your favorite Zelda game? That's a great question. You want to start, Repertoire 2?
I obviously have not played as many Zelda games as you have. I have only really played Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Twilight Princess, and a little bit of Skyward Sword. I never actually played Breath of the Wild, although I've watched a lot of Breath of the Wild, and I still have the game sitting right next to me, still in its saran wrap.
Oh, that's great.
It's gotta be Ocarina of Time, being the very first Zelda with an open world. While it wasn't really open world, it had an open world concept. You were still directed to go certain places and being told to go certain places, but you had full-fledged options as to where to go anyway, or at least it made you think you were those options. As well as a full utility kit and like full 360 what's the word, fighting display, the Z targeting and all that, and just the entire plot line I think was really fleshed out, and it had like for a casual player, a game that came out that long ago having like a 20 to 30 hour playtime was pretty a pretty high accomplishment.
I honestly haven't played a lot of Ocarina of Time. Fake gamer cards, sorry guys.
Oof.
But I do think that game was very revolutionary, much like a lot of those early Legend of Zelda games. I feel like Ocarina of Time really like gave a lot of breath to the world of Zelda and really made it like living. And like you said, like just it was almost like just an open world game. Like it was almost maybe the first open world game,
Yeah.
Which is really great. Like I don't think many people would disagree with you and say Ocarina of Time is the best Zelda game.
Gameplay wise, I would say, and I never played it, but Wind Waker. I think Wind Waker probably has some of the best gameplay.
Wind Waker is pretty fun.
Yeah, and it even explores more on full-fledged open world where you can actually go anywhere at any time, which is really nice.
Yeah. Not to mention that Wii U remaster. It was very pretty. Is it my turn to go?
Oh, of course.
All right. You say that, but thinking about it, I actually haven't played a lot of the Zelda games as well. I dabbled a little bit in the original one as well as Zelda 2 Link's Adventure. That's kind of a different thing, though. Like I said, I played a little bit of Ocarina of Time. I've beaten Link to the Past like 2 or 3 times. I love Link to the Past. I also really love Twilight Princess, and I played a little bit of Wind Waker. I was like going down the list, but I'm like, there's actually a lot of Zelda games. I'm not going to name them all. It's pretty hard to actually think. I really appreciate A Link to the Past. I feel like that game is just like so smooth and clean, and it just like has a really nice flow. I really enjoy the like map and open world, or it's not really an open world, but just the like style of that game. Like, I don't know, that one's super, super good. But I also really enjoyed Breath of the Wild, and I think I just really appreciated how they made it so it's an open world game, but so many modern open world games have all this garbage all over your screen at all times. So many little icons like, oh, you can do this. Oh, you can do that. Oh, go do this. Oh, go do that now. Whereas Breath of the Wild has a lot of that stuff in the game, but it doesn't shove it down your throat. It's literally like, hey, you do you, man. Explore whatever you want. Hey, you could go fight Ganon right now if you want.
I was about to say, dude,
that's
you
a
beat
thing.
The game.
You just go fight Calamity Ganon right now. Do it. Do it, wimp. Oh, man. I think it's Breath of the Wild. Plus, like, it really speaks to me because I really enjoy, like, just going out on hikes and walks around nature. And I feel like that is literally the epitome of Breath of the Wild, as you just walk around and maybe you just find, like, a rusted, like, iron sword or, like, a good shield. Or maybe you find, like, a Korok hidden somewhere. Or I can't even begin to talk about how great all the, like, little shrine puzzles were. Yeah, I get a little upset sometimes when I just point out like a modern game and I'm like, oh, that's my favorite one. But I mean, honestly, Breath of the Wild it's just so good. I mean, if I would have to complain anything about Breath of the Wild, I think the Divine Beasts weren't great boss fights. Also,
yes.
I also wish there was some more music. The music that's in Breath of the Wild is good, but it's just a little lacking on music. But yeah, like, and even that like cell shaded art style is so cool. I also just really enjoy like the remakes of like Link's design and Zelda's design. I think that stuff's really neat. Yeah, I'm gonna say Breath of the Wild.
I was gonna make the joke of said that you like going on hikes, that the stamina bar really makes you feel like you're back in nature.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I actually didn't have a problem with I know a lot of people were like, oh, the weapons breaking all the time, that's annoying. I had no issue with that. I was drowning in like high tier weapons. Like every time I would find like a flame great sword or one of the like Sheikah like weapons, I'm like, oh god, like now I have to figure out what I need to throw away to pick this up. Like I was just at some point managing all my like god weapons. I'm like, what do I need? What don't I need?
You just said that you really liked the redesign of Link and Zelda, but wasn't that originally from Skyward Sword?
Oh, was it? I don't know. I just mean
Yeah.
like their style of like their clothing and like how they looked in that game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, was that from Skyward Sword? I didn't know. I thought Skyward Sword is like in the timeline, it's the first one.
Maybe. Okay, I thought that they were basically the same, but maybe not. Oh, no, never mind. They're a bit different.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you. Who was that here? Day Back In. Thank you for the question. And thank you also, the Retrograde Podcast. Both good questions. Guys, that is going to do it for this week's episode of the Level With Me podcast. If you enjoyed listening, please give us a follow. You can find the podcast on Podbean, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the Google Play Store. And if it's not there, I will have them there in the future. I was trying to find the podcast on Spotify, but there's like a zillion podcasts with the words Level With Me in them, so I couldn't necessarily find it. I'm going to update that stuff, so if they're not there, you can find them. You can, of course, also watch it on YouTube. Also, don't forget to check out our YouTube channel, Level With Me. We got Let's Plays going up there. A nearly complete Luigi's Mansion 3 Let's Play. I know Mike just uploaded the first part of Donkey Kong Country. There'll probably be more of those coming up. And like I said, No More Heroes will begin very soon. I was even thinking of going back into doing some of my other Let's Plays of like Remnant from the Ashes and Mario 64 in the near future. Maybe one of them, and just completing it. As for me, I am GameBro Corey, and you can follow me on Twitch, Instagram, and Twitter. I will hopefully be getting back to my Twitch streams in the near future, very, very soon. I really want to start streaming again. Also, you can find Mike. He's not here, but you can find him on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. I think he said he had a Facebook. It's at The Collector's Vault 1 on all those. What about you, Rupertois? You want to plug some stuff?
You can follow me on twitter.com/Rupertois2 and twitch.tv/Rupertois2. I'm trying to get back into an actual schedule of constantly streaming, so I should be on almost every day now.
Yeah, that's awesome. You've been doing really well. What kind of stuff do you normally stream?
So I actually wanted to, and I apologize if this is during your outro, but I want to actually make that topic during this podcast if I still can.
We still got some time. Go for it.
So I wanted to ask you your opinion of... So when I wanted to come back to streaming, one of my hardest decisions was trying to find a game that I both loved to play and loved to stream. A game like, and I mentioned this in my one YouTube video of me coming back, but a game like League of Legends, I love playing the game. I hate streaming the game. There's no interaction with viewers. It's very difficult to not pay too much attention to the game,
right?
Compared to your chat. Whereas a game like again, I play like Hearthstone Battlegrounds. I love streaming that game. It's super chill. I get to hang out with people and talk. But grinding the game and playing it for 2 or 3 hours isn't my cup of tea. So
right,
how
I get that?
I find it so difficult to find a game that I enjoy doing both with, and I'm still in that situation where I can't seem to find one.
Well, I think for me, when I was streaming a lot, I do definitely agree with you. A lot of the multiplayer games, they do really like drive your focus a lot because I feel like you're very like concentrated on the game, especially depending on moment to moment. It could be like really intense. I was streaming a decent amount of Smash Ultimate as well as Apex Legends. And yeah, it was a little tricky to like talk to the chat. I even remember a few months ago I was streaming some Black Ops Cold War, and yeah, it would be hard to like kind of like check on what I'm doing and then check on the chat.
Yeah.
I honestly feel like, I mean, you are definitely right. Like, card games are definitely way more chill. When I was way more into Runeterra, I was even like, oh, I could easily stream this game. Like, it's very easy to kind of like manage what's going on as well as kind of like talking to your chat. So I could definitely see like something like Hearthstone or the auto chess type games. I feel like could be a little bit better for that stuff. I also had good success with like single player games because there's not necessarily as much going on in those.
Yeah.
But again, you just kind of got to find your thing. You know, for me, what I'm planning on doing is I'm probably going to be mostly like variety. I don't necessarily think I'm going to dedicate one game. So I'll probably be hopping all over the place with those. But I definitely see where you're coming from, man. A lot of my issues, too, is like honestly just not even knowing what to talk about when I stream. I'm just like focused on the game, and I'll be like, I don't know. Look at that guy. Isn't he silly looking?
I just need to have that little rant there.
Oh, no. You're fine. Don't
but
worry.
yeah, I'm mostly playing League of Legends. You
There you
gotta grind to the 1%, like I said earlier. So
yeah,
you'll
so
most likely play that game.
Yeah, if you're interested in that, check him out. And I don't know. I guess that's the end of the podcast. Let me get my sheet here. Let's review how you did as not Mike. All right. Let me check here. We had no.
I only have one strike. I know I have one strike.
You had one strike. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. We had no meatball pizza jokes, which is quite sad, but I don't blame you for that. What else here? You didn't talk a lot about Metroid. Considering I don't know a lot about Metroid, that's good. You didn't bring up any Below Deck. Mike's really into that. Yeah. I don't. This is awkward, but I don't know if Level With Me can accept you as temporary Mike. I hate to be the one to say this, but maybe you'll have to be part-time Mike.
Part-time, okay.
I
didn't have like any Yu-Gi-Oh references today.
Yeah, we didn't really have a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh references.
Did you see the new Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridge series episode?
I have not watched that in years.
I 100% advocate. episode 83.
Little Karibo staying strong.
Took him 2 years to make the episode, but it's worth it.
Really? Oh man,
Yes.
poor guy.
Yeah.
Oh, God bless him.
There's my Yu-Gi-Oh reference.
It's time to get the heck out of here. Good night, folks.
Have a great night.